tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Strain fans! Welcome back to the Strain After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We're talking about Season 1, Episode 12, Last Rites. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me as always, the panel's all here. Zach Wilson is here. Hey. Stephen Lemieux is here.
Oh, yeah.
And Jacque Borowski is here.
Holla.
And we have a very, very special guest on video call this evening, Mr. Kevin Durand, who plays Vasiliy Fet. Welcome to the show, man.
Woo! Woo!
How y'all doing?
We're doing great. Thank you so much.
I would like to announce that he's eating mangoes and not paintball, which is what I mistook.
You mistook it with his mango for paintball pre-show. Yeah. Eating mango like a man getting his B12 shot. Thank you so much for being here, man. We absolutely love you on the show. It's really refreshing to see you play just like such a charming and like hilarious good guy. You've played so many heavies over the years, but it's awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I played some pretty bad cats. It's nice to step into Vasiliy Fet's world.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to me because I haven't seen much of your other work, so I'm totally expecting the accent every time you talk now, and it's really throwing me off.
Oh, yeah.
Was that accent, was it your choice or was it the producer's choice?
Well, in the book, it said that he was second generation Ukrainian, but Guillermo wanted a Ukrainian accent. And so it kind of didn't fully make sense to me, so we kind of compromised, and I kind of came up with the idea that he came over when he was like 14 years old. So he's been in New York for like 23, 24 years. So it's kind of like an amalgamation of both accents.
Yeah, I know.
So just kind of bridging the gap and still like playing with it. You know, if he's talking to his father, it gets a little thicker, a little closer to Ukraine. If he's talking with someone from the hood, it gets a little more New York. You know, it kind of depends on the situation, and also how much beer he's had to drink. Because everybody knows the more beer you drink,
the more your accent comes out.
Yeah, because I'm drinking beer right now, and soon I'm going to be talking like that because that's my normal accent from Je suis Canadien Français from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Canada. Cheers.
Hell yeah.
Oh, man. So this episode, we get a little bit of character development with you. I mean, you're really into Dutch here, aren't you? I mean...
Yeah, it looks like that, huh?
Well, who wouldn't be? She's lovely, she's smart, she won't take any crap.
My favorite moment is this moment where you ask her if she likes men or women, and she kind of doesn't respond, because the whole time we're watching the show, it's a are they, aren't they, what's going on? Can you tell us or no?
To be completely honest with you, we haven't gotten there.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Something to look forward to.
We'll all have to like hold tight. First, we're gonna have to see if I make it through the next episode.
That's true. Though,
if I make it through the next episode, then maybe they'll let me go back to Toronto and shoot the next season, and then we can find out what happens with Fet and Dutch.
Oh man, if they kill you off next episode, I'm just gonna be so distraught.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've only read the first book, but he makes it to the end of the first book, so
it's spoilers.
God,
sorry,
Jackie, get out of here.
I feel pretty confident.
So pissed if I die next episode because I'm having way too much fun.
Yeah.
So, they'll be hearing from me, and like when I was tweeting, I was live tweeting with a bunch of amazing strain addicts, they call themselves, and they said that they would riot if I die next episode, and I said, you know what, I'll come and I'll join. Fet and me, we're gonna. I mean, we could tear up some stuff.
I mean, we can loot. I'd rather loot if you die, you know.
Loot and then build light bombs.
Yeah,
Light
exactly.
bombs and looting. That's the name of our first album. And so,
Yeah.
so how'd you get involved with the show in the beginning? Like, how did you first become acquainted with The Strain and Guillermo?
You know, it was really cool. I was prepping for a film where I was about to go play an intense weirdo, dark creepo, and I had dropped like 40 pounds. And Guillermo apparently had Guillermo and Carlton Hughes wanted to meet with me to play Vasiliy. So I read the book. I had 3 days before meeting them, and I was like, man, I look like, I was like, I looked rail thin, and I looked so weak and feeble. I was like, these guys aren't going to believe that I could, you know, be Vasiliy. And luckily in the room, you know, they both kind of, you know, Guillermo just kind of said to me, he asked me if I wanted to be Vasiliy, and you know, I think I would have been really silly if I didn't want to be silly.
That's true. Well, that's so incredibly gratifying that they you know, thought of you for the part. They came to you for it. That's awesome.
I'm a very, very lucky dude. You know, Carlton gave me such a big break with Lost a few years back, and let me play the awesomely insane Martin Christopher Keamy on Lost, and he they just kept writing such fun, insane stuff for me. So when I found out he was interested in me for this, I was pretty jacked. I mean, Guillermo helped too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of his as well.
That other guy.
Yeah.
We're hearing a lot of, we did some interviews earlier, and it seems like Guillermo's been pretty hands-on. Would you agree with that he's pretty hands-on throughout this process?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and he's told us that for the second season, if I make it there, he's taken time off from directing other films, and he's going to be on set every day.
Nice.
Oh wow, that's wonderful.
For at least the first half of the season, and just kind of help push the creative vision forward, and we love having him around because he is one of the funniest, most charismatic dudes I've ever met, you know, and so it would be great to have him around.
Yeah.
You keep teasing if your character makes it next season, and really before this interview I had no doubt that you were, and now you're just making me doubt everything in my mind completely. And I'm like, if you can take a hammer and bash things out of the skull and not get worms on you, crawl through a gigantic or a tiny cave when you're like a big dude and not get worms on you, like, what the? Are you going to have like an atom bomb dropped on you? Like, oh, we're going to kill Vasiliy by throwing him into like a mile away and just.
He's just going to drown in worms. He's going to wind up on like the set of You Can't Do That on Television. Instead of slime, it's just a bucket of worms.
Fear factor.
I'll tell you something about that damn tunnel. So they tested me a week before. They were like, "Can you get through this tunnel?" And I was like, "I'm like." I have way too much confidence in my athletic prowess, especially as I age. I'm like, oh, I could do that. And so I went through it super quick. You know, they were impressed. I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then I never really thought about the fact that I have my big-ass winter jacket and then I have my backpack on, and I literally watched Mia Maestro get through it in like, I swear it felt like 10 seconds. I was like, okay, I gotta beat Mia. I got in that damn tunnel. I could hardly move, period, let alone like get through. Like, I think it took me like 5 minutes, and I literally got stuck for a while. I had to do like some old like kind of, you know, breakdancing worm movements.
Yeah, to just wriggle your way through.
Did you have Guillermo on the other side like, you'd be dead by now, you'd be dead by now?
I really hope that footage is somewhere out there.
Right? That's got to make the gag reel.
Yeah, me inside, like, I mean, I was actually, people are like, wow, it was so claustrophobic. You looked really panicked. I was like, no shit.
Yeah. So you, from what you're saying, it sounds like you haven't read the second and third books. You haven't read ahead to see what happens.
Oh no, I have.
You have? Oh, okay.
I read the second and third book before climbing on board the Stain Train.
Sweet. So what was your favorite thing to shoot this season? Obviously, you've gotten to do a lot of action stuff. You know, maybe it was something a little more tender, maybe the scene with your father.
Yeah, that was a highlight. I love doing that scene. It's really tough to kind of pinpoint what my favorite part was. I really loved having the first, 6 episodes. We got to develop him independently from the other storylines. But I gotta say that once we got to episode 8, and all of a sudden, I'm hanging with, Corey Stoll and David Bradley and Mia Maestro, really getting into this. I mean, I kind of fell in love with all of them, and so it was really cool. It was really cool. From that moment on, it was absolutely the most fun. And if I make it to the second season, I look forward to more of that.
So you might make it to the second season, but you got to kill somebody who made it through all 3 Lord of the Rings movies. How was it? How was it getting the role of the guy who puts 10 shots in the gym?
Aww.
4.
There's only 4 shots, Stephen. All right, just ease back on that throttle. Yeah.
You know what? I hadn't worked with him a whole lot up until that episode. Our characters had never met. We met a couple times socially. But while we were shooting that scene, which we shot pretty much chronologically, when we got to that point where I shot him, I was a little bummed because I really liked Sean. He's such a classy guy and such a smart man and such a talented actor. And but Vasiliy doesn't hesitate.
Yeah.
Kevin might have hesitated because he's like, oh, he's such a nice guy, but he got worms back. Oh no.
How was it shooting that entire episode? I mean, that episode had pretty much the most action sequences I think that were in any episode so far.
Yeah.
Was that tough?
Honestly, no. The hours were long, and it was pretty cold up there in the T-Dot in Toronto, Ontario. But when you're having that much fun, it's like, who the hell is dumb enough to complain about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just had such a good time, such a great time. And so we got out of that thing. We got out of that bread truck,
Oh, the bread truck.
I missed the bread truck.
So I want to ask you a question about Vasiliy. He comes from this like scholarly background, and he kind of rejected it, but he considers what he does to have like this serious importance that his father doesn't see. Can you speak to that relationship and kind of what drives him? I find this guy so fascinating.
It's kind of interesting. I think that Fet has always felt like a pressure to follow in his father's footsteps. But when he came to America, I think he really got a sense of who he wanted to be, and it was so opposite to what his father wanted him to be. Mm-hmm. And he never really thought of it from a classist point of view. I mean, his father did, and constantly reminded him that, without that master's or that doctorate, that he would be lesser. But Vasiliy didn't agree, and he pursued his dreams, and that's why he became the greatest rat catcher that those 5 boroughs ever knew. And there's something that he was instrumental in the cleanup of 9/11, which is in the books. He helped control the crazy rat outburst. The population just blew up, and he became one of the best in the 5 boroughs, and he's proud of that, and he wants his father to be proud of that. And I don't know, maybe he'll never have a chance to to have his father's, tap on the shoulder saying you're doing okay. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait.
Well, if he lives through the next episode, then maybe he will.
But speaking to his relationship with his father, we now have this new kind of father figure in Satrakian, that Satrakian's kind of proud of you in a son sort of way, and he's kind of the guy who's like, oh, you're an exterminator? Oh, this is fantastic.
You're an incredible exterminator. A hunter after my own heart.
David, is that you?
We got him right here.
I took a break from killing people on HBO.
How awesome is David Bradley?
He's the best.
He's
so good.
I mean, how awesome is the rest of the cast?
The cast is awesome.
It's basically the two of you competing for who's the fan favorite.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's very, very sweet. Well, he's my favorite.
Dutch.
Well, in watching the show, like watching David, like as an actor, I feel the same way that Vasiliy feels looking at Satrakian. Just really looks up to him and knows that he can learn a lot from him. And so it's kind of cool how our relationship in real life reverberates on the screen, because it's there's a lot of parallels there.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I love Satrakian. It's awesome.
I got this question from Steve earlier, but now I'm curious. Steve asked someone else on the show, who would they play if they were to play a different character than theirs? So if you were allowed to play a different character than yours, which one do you think you would play?
Zach, right?
No, who would you cast me as?
Oh, I don't know. That's turning it around on me.
I think you'd kick some serious ass as Ichorus. I think you'd do like a whole different take on it.
Become my friend. Who would you cast me as?
Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
This is big pressure, becoming Kevin's friend. I already know I'm not your friend because I just said I think you'd make a killer Ichorus. I think you'd seriously do something cool and different and creepy with it.
Fitzsimmons.
Yeah. Oh, Fitzwilliam?
Fitzwilliam, yeah.
Or age you up and we'll make you into Eldritch Palmer. Lying on a table getting a new liver every episode.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
never really thought about it. I mean, when I read the books and I read the script, I mean, I was truthfully, I was so enamored with Vasiliy. If I could pick which character to play, like, that is the dude that I wanted to play.
Yeah.
So the fact that they wanted me for that guy, I was like, sign me up.
That's perfect.
All right.
So is it
Bring on the apocalypse.
is it a personal choice while you're portraying the character that when you display your front teeth in kind of like a rodent-like manner when you're talking and
Oh my gosh! What is happening?
Honestly, that is not a choice. That's just because I have really big ass teeth.
well, now I'm an asshole.
I was a hockey player in my former life, and my teeth were all destroyed and chipped and broken. And my agent, about 17 years ago, said, "Look, I think we got a future in this business." But and as she's telling me that, she's writing something down in the car. She's like, "Call this guy," and I'm like, "Who the hell is this?" She's like, "He's a dentist." And so I got all my teeth fixed after shooting Mystery Alaska, and now I have these really big, white, shiny, glorious teeth.
You got some chompers.
It's one of my favorite parts of the character, though. It just connects so well with this. I love it, though.
Well, so other than the teeth, is there anything that you felt that you brought to the character that maybe wasn't in the books, or that Guillermo or Carlton didn't bring in?
When we were doing early tests for other characters on the show, Guillermo kept saying to me, "Okay, well, Vasiliy doesn't ever smile. Vasiliy doesn't do this, doesn't do that." But I had a very, very set idea as to who I thought this guy was and how he functioned in this world. And him smiling and smirking was very important to me, because I think, if you read the books, he always has his journals, and in his journals, So he's talking about how everyone around him is kind of clamming up and shutting down. They're terrified that the apocalypse is coming, whereas Vasiliy is going the other way, and he's life is just like being breathed. It's just, oh my gosh, I can't even articulate right now. Maybe a little too much beer. He's excited by what's happening. He's becoming the man that he always wanted to be.
You're appreciated.
And it's this apocalypse, the skills that he has, and this kind of like inner kind of Viking inside of him that's kind of coming out. And girls are looking at him more now. And there's nothing out there that he's scared of. You know, he's ready to go out and save the world.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Kevin, we could talk to you all night, but we have limited time. We still have to recap the episode. But I guess I just wanted to ask, I know, obviously, you can't tell us anything about what's happening in the next episode or whether or not you survive, but for those people who haven't read the books, is there anything you can say about, like, what we can expect next season, maybe just in terms of tone or any kind of big changes that you can discuss in a vague way?
I honestly really wish I could tell you, but I don't really know.
You read the books.
I can make assumptions from reading the books.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think the shit has hit the fan now, well, get ready to be covered in it.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Like a trailer.
Yeah.
So we're gonna recap the show. If you're more than welcome to stay on the line with us and comment, because we're just gonna be going like by storyline by storyline.
All right.
All right. Sweet.
So we kind of got, I don't know if there's even more Young Zatrakian story, but I feel like we kind of got our big capper this week in terms of how did he get that vampiric heart that we saw in the pilot.
Who is it?
Who is it? Yeah, we now know it's his true love, Miriam, who he lost because of his own foolishness, his own stubbornness. He couldn't stay out of that damn hole. It was far, far too easy of a trap.
Well, she even warned him. She's like, any signs of nesting, you come back. And like the first thing he sees is, oh, wallets and keys and all this stuff. Like right.
And
here.
he's like, great, I'm just hanging out. And I'm just like, hold on a second, because he climbed down that hole and was still like, okay, maybe it was a little close to sunset. Maybe it was like 4 or 5 p.m. But he crawls into that hole, and what, it takes him 2 hours to get over to where the Strigoi are,
yeah, right.
And then it takes him like 3 minutes to get back. I'm like, what was he? Did he stop to read a book?
He had to find his way, Matt. All right, We're not going to bring time into this when time is such a big factor.
You're absolutely right.
Is it bad that I was just thinking like the sequel to Fiddler on the Roof is Zatrakian in the Well? Like,
oh my god.
I don't even know how that relates to Fiddler on the Roof.
Because they're Hebrew. I can say that. Zach can say that. He can't say it.
That is the loosest Fiddler connection I've ever heard of.
But no, I thought for the sake of like the scene, because he gets the horse, and the horse has to take him all the way to the castle.
Right.
So I don't think that it's really that early in the day at that point.
Right.
I think it's probably more like 3 p.m.
Right.
So the sun's going down at that point.
But he's been searching for so long. He's his search has now been going on for say 20 years, 20 plus years, that it's late in the day and that he can't even go down the hole. He's determined to go.
My question is, how does he find a woman that puts up with that's not like a hunter herself?
Because he's badass and has a sword, and he'll protect her until he goes down a well.
The instant you hear about this, you're like, I need a guy who can protect me.
With a sword made of silver. I want to see the origin story of the sword.
Yeah, that's got to be coming at some point.
Hope so.
The thing is, he violates like rule 1 of any show, any situation where there are creatures running around and you got to kill a bunch of them. Travel in pairs.
Mm-hmm. And never pay too much for a horse.
Yeah.
I did like this scene because we had an interview earlier with Jim Watson, who plays young Zatrakian, and I was asking him in the interview about bridging the gap between this like very innocent young guy we see, and then you see old Zatrakian, and you felt like you're like, what happened to this guy in between? And we finally get the years in the 60s when he's moved out of the concentration camp. He's become a little bit more rough around the edges, and he's actually going out and hunting these guys.
He hasn't started chain smoking yet, though, to get that raspy voice.
No, not yet. That's after he fails. It's like, well, you know, I'm not going to need this heart anymore. I'm not going to need these lungs anymore. I'm not going to be...
Well, because he says later he moves to America. That's the time.
Defeated, yeah.
Yeah, so that was him giving up. So it's interesting to see that now this is how he reacts when he realizes the Master's back. And the very first scene of the series we get with Satrakian makes much more sense now. His urgency and his, like... It clicks in his mind like this is what's going on because it hasn't dealt with this in so long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. We were kind of talking about Satrakian's age, and maybe you can speak to this, Kevin. I mean, he's in his early 90s. Am I wrong? Like, if he was in the concentration camps, he was at the very youngest, like 16 to 18 years old, in like the early 40s, right? You tack on another 70 years. Like, he's in his like late 80s, early 90s.
Math right now is
the best.
Giving me life.
Let's just say that he has his Wheaties in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's taking care of himself. He's a hunter. He's a soldier.
He has to be like late 80s. I mean, judging from the books. I mean, it's. I always thought that. I mean, he's a very he's very active in life. 90s.
Yeah. Very spry for 90.
Isn't he spry?
Yeah, no
He's
broken
like Betty
hips.
White for Vampire Slayers.
He climbed through that cave faster than Kevin Durand could.
I got through there in like a minute. It took me about 17.
And then how heartbreaking was it? He realizes what's going on, and then his rope is gone. As soon as I saw that rope dangling, I'm like, oh man, that rope's going for a ride.
It looks like you've misplaced some rope. It would be a shame if your wife was dead when you returned home.
Oh, I've caught you in the most delightful trap, too. Oh, won't you be upset when your wife is gone? But it was like so sad when she came to the door with the two children, a boy and a girl, just like they were going to adopt when everything was better. Chills.
We have little orphans, Strigoi.
Oh my God.
So was that like his attempt to get him to like embrace it and like become a Strigoi?
No, that was.
They were just trying to fuck with him.
They were just trying to break
Excuse
him.
me. I mean,
Word, Jackie.
sorry.
We try not to.
Fig with him. You mean fig with him.
Yes.
Yeah, they were trying to fig with him, treat with him, and no, it's
Once in a while, I just lose.
but he has this moment that I really, really enjoyed, where he asks God to forgive him. When he cuts out her heart, he knows he is taking it as a reminder to never fail again, a reminder of his failure.
How cool was that scene, though, when he's, like, holding the heart in his hands?
It's great.
And you're like, whoa.
How creepy was the decapitated head that was like oozing ooziness?
And
Yeah.
the worm, like, coming out of the neck
Yeah.
stalk.
Yeah, dope.
Do you
Lots of-
see, like, do you get to see any of these these are practicals, I'm assuming, practical effects, some of them?
To a certain degree, yeah. I mean, a lot of the magic comes in afterwards. Mm-hmm. We don't actually have any trained vampiric worms.
Yeah, that's good. That's important when you're
I
making a
just
TV
imagine,
show.
like, for that one, though, it's like a plastic body and you just push a button and things ooze out.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, they didn't actually fill Sean Astin with worms, you know. Like, they didn't actually do that.
What?
You are incorrect. They did. So
Damn.
Yeah.
a lot of antibiotics.
Yeah, see? I mean, think about it, Stephen. Have you seen him anywhere since? Obviously,
You heard it
he
here
went down
first.
for his art. You heard it here first.
They sent him to the Amazon River for a week to come back and film.
Yeah. All right, before we move on, I just want to really quickly mention iTunes. You know, folks, I say it every week, and only because it's the truth. The best way you can support us here at AfterBuzz TV is to go to iTunes and rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. We put out here at AfterBuzz TV, we put out between 60 and 80 hours of free podcast content a week. It's a crazy, crazy amount of content. It takes a lot of work to do it. And, the best way you can help us out, go to iTunes, rate and review the shows. shows. It's how we get our sponsors. It's how we get our lights on, our doors open. It's how we pay our bills. It's how we get great guests like Kevin Durand here. And it doesn't cost you a dime. It only takes a second. So rate and review the show. You also get a nice shout out here on the show with us.
Let's rush through them pretty quick. Awesome podcast by Nick 01815. Better than celebrating a bank holiday in a bread truck. I watch this every episode and I find a great way to catch up with what I missed. Keep up the great recaps. And P.S. I love the Satrakian impression. Part Due by S107. Last week I wrote a viewer and requested that you guys do the whole show in Icarst and Satrakian's voices, and you guys then did the next 2 reviews in their voices. I was laughing so hard. Mad Mimi 60. I love this podcast because it has great hosts, and thank you to the whole crew for making the podcast. I can't wait till next week. Could you please stop with the stupid singing? Sorry, guys.
Never.
Then
Sorry.
we got from Burakebaz. Good stuff. I like this. 5 stars.
All right.
My favorite review
That's how
so
easy
far.
it is.
Yeah.
It just takes a second, and it helps us out a bunch.
And then our last one was from Don Ray Ghost, who says, meh. I like Matt a lot, and he tries to keep the rest of the panel on topic. When he succeeds, this is worth listening to. When he fails,
I
feel like
our
they're wasting
shitty
my time.
reviews.
I really could care less about Matt's mustache, stupid puns, and spontaneous parody songs. The recaps are good, but 1 or 2 panelists seem to enjoy laughing at their own jokes more than talking about the stream.
Ouch! That's some serious burns. No, I got away scot-free. I got out
Matt
clean.
I'm glad
So if you throw shade at us, we'll read that too. So just as long
That's how
as you
real
rate
we
us
are.
5 stars.
he gave
It
us
don't
4,
matter.
but we'll let it slide.
We'll let that one slide.
I'm
But you
letting
can
it
rate
slide.
us 5 stars and then throw shade at us. I'm
Matt,
okay
Matt
with
shaved
that.
his mustache, so we're all good.
So we're all good.
Look
Yeah.
like Ned Flanders this week.
No, we're fine.
Hi, diddly host, Jiggerina.
All right. So Dutch reappears after a prolonged absence of an episode, but it
Much
felt
to the happiness of one Vasiliy Fet.
yes, and viewers everywhere with a plan. No, not a plan. A win. Yeah. She has this idea to take the emergency broadcast system, which, fun fact, has never ever been used, despite its various incarnations, even on 9/11, to broadcast a pirate signal that would contain Ephraim's warning about the vampires, about the Strigoi.
And if we've learned anything from episode 2 of this season, is that Ephraim is a great person to speak on national television, and he never makes any mistakes when all eyes are on him.
Never, ever,
He
ever.
is the head of the CDC.
He is not the head of the CDC. I mean, he could be effectively, considering that so many people are dead
But
now.
he could be, because with his charm, the sky's the limit.
Well, except for the fact that he's like wanted by the government at this point.
Yeah.
But that's his renown, okay? Now people recognize him and they'll listen. It's just like the guy who spread secrets to the NSA and all that. Like, he was like everybody loved the guy, but they all knew who he was.
Are you no, Edward Snowden spread secrets from the NSA.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant to say,
Okay.
yes. But people knew who he was. People knew exactly who he was, even if they didn't really
Did you just
understand.
compare him to Edward Snowden? Where has this podcast gone?
I don't know.
No one knows.
I think we need to go back to that review. And I can,
Meh.
yeah. Yeah, so
But it's a good plan.
It's a good plan.
They do it in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
They've only got, like, the insomniacs and...
yeah, they've only got one shot, one opportunity to seize everything they ever wanted. Will they capture it or just let it slip? No, they captured it.
You got some mom spaghetti.
Yeah. So Vasiliy has this great scene with Dutch up on the roof, and you know, I love watching them bond. Like he's so intensely attracted to her. You know, I think. Not just because of her attitude or because of her looks, because of her intelligence, because she's somebody who doesn't take any crap, and because I think kind of like him, and maybe you can speak to this, Kevin, she's somebody who applies her intelligence to something that most people wouldn't understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit it on all the heads there. I think that he's... I think it's rare for Vasiliy to be stimulated right across the spectrum, and I think that she's doing that for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love watching these two together, and we finally we get the thing set up, and you know, lo and behold, it works, and F has like 30 seconds to get his message out, and it's like he just barely starts talking about how to actually protect yourself when it cuts out. Like, it's just enough to be like, this is a thing, this is happening, here are some photographs, sunlight will and it's just done. So I'm very actually intensely curious. Will this be taken seriously by members of the public? Will it spread around the world? Since the internet is down, you know, it's down in New York, but is it down everywhere? I think it's
got it across the country, at least broadcast wise.
Right.
So,
and TV is still working. So some news broadcast has to pick it up at the very least as isn't this strange that this happened last night? How could this person do this? Is he a terrorist? What is he?
Look at this prank that somebody might have pulled, possibly.
Right.
That's a very elaborate prank.
Very elaborate prank with an odd message.
Look at that head of the CDC on this TV.
He's not the head of the CDC for the last time. It's not a joke. It's not even a thing. So, meanwhile, over at Stoneheart, it's so funny. Eldridge Palmer looked so healthy last week. He was like practically up and about and everything, and now he's back to just like horrifying,
looking like the governor in X-Men after he got mutinized.
Yeah,
he had just enough strength to put down Dutch.
Just enough strength to put her down, and Eichhorst is there, and he basically is begging, like, please turn me. I'm going to die. I don't have much time left. And Eichhorst, it's an interesting scene because obviously the Master turns him later in the episode, but is Eichhorst testing his faith here, or is he just taunting him?
Well, it's interesting because it feels like he was taunting him. But then when we find out that he was actually changed, which we don't know it's actually him being changed because it's a different way than when Eichhorst was changed.
Yeah.
So we don't officially know what the deal is there. But since he did, it feels like he was testing his faith. It's like, what will you do if the Master doesn't come and he's going to just kill you? I will believe to the end. So I think that's what Eichhorst was really looking for. I don't know.
Well, why is it, so...
Well, it's the second time the Master has waited until somebody basically lost faith that it was going to happen. He did the same thing with Eichhorst. Eichhorst didn't think that he was going to be converted, saved by the Master. He crawls into that little hole, and then the Master comes after he's truly lost faith. Like, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah.
Both of them had that sort of moment of like, isn't it time?
Isn't it interesting that when you look at Eichhorst and how he gave up everything he loved, in a way, and now you look at Stoneheart Group, what's his name? Eldridge Palmer, who has used all his resources. He's basically used up everything that he loved, that he built his life for.
What did Eichhorst love that he gave up? He lost. Yeah, that wasn't really his choice to have the concentration camps invaded by American and British soldiers.
The reason he puts makeup on, he presents himself in a way, it's because he loves being the persona. He loves being in control. He lost all of his control. So I thought it was so interesting that if you compare this and you're following this line of logic, what does Eichhorst say as Satrakian leaves? It's like, oh, it looks like you've lost your last thing, like you've given up all
that you love.
And when you go to the very first monologue of the series, where it's talking about when you become a Strigoi, you have to go to the first thing you love. Maybe you have to give up everything that you love before you can become a special Strigoi, because the only place to turn to is the Master.
That's a very fascinating point. You want to touch on that?
Do you think
Kev?
you have to choose giving up everything you love, though? Because is that what you're trying to say? You choose that?
I think it's a choice, but it's also just...
I don't know
if it can be a choice.
I don't know that it has to be a choice. I don't think that choice is the issue here. I think it requires, to be a chosen, for the Master to feel that you are going to be 100% committed to his cause. If he makes you a chosen, you need to be absent of anything that you love, any attachment.
It makes me worried that Satrakian can become a chosen.
What do you think, Kev?
I think that Master, who is filled with the most powerful worms, enjoys to see people squirm.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, let's put that on a T-shirt.
I think that he indulges and loves that power. So he knows that ultimately all that they want is to be changed. So he will wait until the very last moment. Until, yes, very good point. He will take everything from them. I think that's a good point.
Is that why you think when he encountered Satrakian in the camp, he didn't kill him initially? He just broke his hands?
And then took his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And also there's something to be said that he kind of sees this spirit in him that he has a worthy opponent. Yeah. Maybe it's just been too easy for too long. Yeah. He sees this fire in this guy, and maybe if he takes away everything from him, that fire will just be lit sky high, and then he's got a bit of a fight on his hands. Maybe he likes that.
Yeah. What is life without a worthy opponent?
Exactly.
Well, when you say worthy opponent, I wonder about the Daywalkers now, and I wonder if the Master's aware of them, and I wonder if we'll ever, now that Gus is with them, we'll ever get in contact with the main group. And
well, we're gonna get to that, and Kev, we call the other faction of vampires, we call them Daywalkers. We know they're not Daywalkers, but we like Blade, so sue us. So we get a couple of scenes between Nora and her mother this week, and like that weird kind of moment with Zach and Nora's mother, where Zach's like, F's like, everything all right, everything fine? It's like, yeah, everything's fine, Dad. Everything's fine. I'm not going to get into it. And it's like, this is the moment.
Die for cigarettes.
Yeah,
definitely not.
This is the moment we see Zach become a teenager, even like years early, just because like, nope, I'm gonna start hiding stuff from Dad. You don't need to know. This is my life, not yours.
And what's interesting is when we interviewed Ben earlier today, I was like, we were so disappointed that you left the building to go get this woman cigarettes, and he was like, she was crazy. I would have done that.
So, which makes it all the more tragic. Oh, so go ahead, Kev. Sorry.
He's just the sweetest kid ever.
He's adorable. Yeah. He really is.
We're doing these like press junkets with him, and the rest of us is sitting there kind of like stewing, kind of like trying to come up with something witty to say, and then Ben just comes up with something like, when I grow up, I want to be like Ben Hyland.
I want that on a T-shirt too.
Yeah,
well, he even on our interview, he's like, we're trying to get him to say something that maybe like teases at how great the finale is and maybe what we'll see of his character. And he's like, let's just say that Zach Goodweather goes more Zach Badweather.
That's awesome.
That was adorable.
So we get some scenes between Nora and her mother this week. I apologize, we're just running low on time, which makes it all the more tragic when she's attacked by Bolivar, who comes back out of nowhere after weeks.
Looking like the girl from The Ring.
Yeah. Weeks of absence.
And we know where he is.
Yeah, at least we know where he is, and that he's now dead.
I didn't know he liked older women.
I don't think he's dead.
We didn't kill him? We just ran away?
He's dead.
He's in the preview.
Okay.
They can't kill Bolivar.
They covered him with a table, basically.
Got it.
And then ran.
They tucked him in with oak.
Strigoi are vulnerable against sunlight, silver, and tables.
That sounds like a picnic, Matt.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a beautiful picnic.
I am really disappointed, though, that Nora's mom did not become a badass vampire slayer.
That would have been a great twist.
Don't worry, she won't remember that anyway.
But how horrible was it the moment when Nora had to cut off her own mother's head?
I mean, you don't get much more metal than that. But like that's kind of terrifying, and it's interesting to see Satrakian watching her and then comparing it with his own misfortune in the past. And it also made me go back to when she was so hell-bent on we can cure them, and now she's chopping off the head of her own mother.
Yeah,
and the acting in that scene was phenomenal. It's like you felt every moment. You felt every moment.
I couldn't even make a lost your head pun.
On set that day, I remember all of us just kind of stood in silence, and we were outside of the basement at that point, where you would hear that wail, and every take just kind of sent chills down your spine. So, bravo to Mia Maestro.
Yeah, seriously,
indeed.
Bravo. So we're able to escape in time as Ichorus taunts Satrakian through the floor, and part of me just kind of wondered why didn't Satrakian plant a bomb in his store just in case the worst ever happened? That makes like utmost sense to me.
Because somebody had a bomb and they were trying to get $500 for it, and Satrakian only wanted to give him like $1.
Are you making a pawn shop joke, Greg?
Also, did the name? I'm wondering, did the name of his pawn shop change? Because when we exit, it says Satrakian's Pawn Shop, but in the book, it's like Knickerbocker and Loans or something. Maybe you can. And I thought that's what it was called.
No, it was Knickerbocker and Loan on the big sign.
But now it says Satrakian's Pawn Shop when you leave, and I was
don't know. It's not an effective hiding place.
A1H23075's pawn shop.
No.
It's 8230385.
Yeah, 8230385, man.
Oh, sorry. I should be more respectful when referencing people's numbers.
Yeah. Real quick, we have to get into Gus, who tracks down the guy he sold that car to a few episodes ago, Marlo Stanfield from The Wire. I mean, Cream, and he has him drive him across town so he can get his hands on some weapons, some ammo, some cash. And this dude asks, comes in to make a drop of some money in exchange for shipping out a container, which, Gus very rightly is like, whoa, if someone's paying you this much money, whatever's in that container must be pretty valuable. I want to see it. And it's just packed with Strigoi. Where are they going?
And we're just like, oh, gigantic plot that we didn't know about before is kind of insane, and now it's like, what are the implications of this? And this is insane.
Right.
My guess is they would be shipped out of town.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? We have that whole thing in the pilot about bringing the coffin across the water.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder if Strigoi are not able to cross water or be in water of their own volition, and it has to be that someone else takes them there in order for them to travel.
I swear if this turns into signs and they're like allergic to water, I'm going to be angry.
No, we've seen them in dank places where they would be in water plenty.
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
They're in tunnels and sewers. There's water.
I don't know about the water thing, then. I don't know.
All right.
One of them was in a bath.
Yeah, you're right. You're
exactly.
right. You're right.
The foie girl.
But I forgot what I was going for there.
Well, in any case, wherever they're going, obviously the Master is shipping vamps outside of New York. So even though he is currently trying to take over New York City, and it may very well be his new base of operations, there's a larger game afoot here, and which brings us back to the Daywalkers, which return in awesome fashion, mowing down those vamps, and they're obviously hot on the tail of this Master and his much larger plan. They grab Gus. Now, Cream, maybe he knows, maybe he doesn't what he's shipping, but Gus definitely worked for Stoneheart, and I have to imagine that's why they're pulling Gus, like they know that this is the guy who brought the coffin across the water. I don't know. Am I misreading that?
Or are they going there to stop the whatever's going on with the shipping containers? This sort of plays perfectly into that theory we had a few weeks back about if there's multiple masters that are control different parts of the world, and this is the American master trying to stop the European master who came over here because he couldn't get a foothold.
But why does he grab Gus specifically? They are like, no, leave Cream, don't kill him, leave him, but grab Gus, black bag him. That's why I'm curious. Is it because they know that he worked for Stoneheart, or is it something even more mysterious or sinister? Do they see his potential as a vamp hunter? Does he have some kind of, like vamp blood deep in his veins somewhere? I don't know. I mean, those are big, far-fetched questions, but I'm very, very excited about these two being brought together.
I don't know. Honestly, I'm excited to find out. I don't know if we're going to find out in the finale. We'll probably get a tease of the finale.
Okay. Let's just do quick predictions, quick hits, and then we got to wrap up. All right, we got to wrap up right now, unfortunately. We're really excited for this finale. It's going to be amazing. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, man.
Do you have anything you want to plug, future projects?
While you're here?
Well, actually, a film that I did called Dark Was the Night is going to be premiering at Screamfest.
Nice.
So y'all can buy tickets and come out to Man's Chinese Theater on October 16th. It's the first time that someone's cast me as the lead of a project. So and I really love the movie. I'm really proud of it. So come out and see that. And yeah, just thank you so much to all the Strain fans. I've been kind of hanging with you every week. Just so excited to see every episode, and I'm so glad that you guys are digging it. And yeah, come and follow me on Twitter. I'm new to the Twitterverse, so let's.
What is your Twitter for people who don't have it?
Oh, it's Kevin Durand at One Mighty Tree.
At One Mighty Tree on Twitter. Thank you, Kevin. It was a blast talking to you. Have a great night, man.
You rule.
Thank you.
All right. Zach Wilson, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at that Zach Wilson. Also, a bunch of shows are here. I got Resurrection, another show about dead people. Come back. Bunch more stuff. Grim.
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow with all these lovely folks.
Yes. Steven.
You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, StephenLemieux, as well as doing Sons of Anarchy with Matt on Tuesdays, with Sleepy Hollow on Tuesdays, and that's about it. Yeah.
I'm at 123 Jackie_B on Twitter, and I also just looked over at the feed for the first time in my life while this was going, and it just said Jackie's punch drunk, and I'm like, oh, I should not look at that anymore.
That's why it was. Yeah, I don't know. I've read the feed a couple times. It's an eye opener. You can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find me all my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on YouTube. You can find my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Matthew D. Lieberman. And you can find me here doing all the shows that they mentioned and a bunch of other great ones, the Nick and Doctor Who included. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week for the finale. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.